Welcome to my study today. The second conditional in English is actually the most difficult of all four of our conditionals. So let's take a closer look at how we construct it. I have a listening test for you and a big challenge at the end of the video. So let's get started. Conditional sentences type 2 break down into three meanings depending on what we want to say exactly. The first one is what is possible, tentative but possible. And you say it with a kind of intonation in your voice as though you're thinking, if we caught the 10 o'clock train, we would arrive before tea time. It's a good idea. I'm presenting an idea. The second meaning is what I call a maybe situation, hypothetical but not impossible. A daydream, if you like. If I were rich, I would buy a house in Spain. Unfortunately, I'm not rich, but it's possible I could be because I could win the lottery, couldn't I? The third meaning is unreal, contrary to present fact, so therefore unreal. If I knew how to do it, I would tell you. Unfortunately, I don't know. So the situation is unreal. Let's start with what is possible. And here I'm going to look at the first conditional. If we catch the 12 o'clock train, we shall arrive before tea time. Now that's a fairly strong possibility. But look at this second sentence. If we caught the 12 o'clock train, we would arrive before tea time. And that's the second conditional. And we make it up in this way. If plus a past tense, we can say if we caught, which is past, a modal verb, we would, and the infinitive without to, which is arrive. Now, I can talk about the conditional tense, but unfortunately, we don't really have a conditional tense in English. We make it up, as we do here, with a modal verb followed by a blind infinitive, an infinitive without to. So if I call it the conditional tense, you'll have to forgive me. It's easy to slip into that way. We are talking about conditionals after all. So what do we have here? Well, we have a situation where we can ask, is it possible? If we caught the train, yeah, I'm thinking about that, then we would arrive before tea time. It's an idea, or even a polite suggestion. Excuse me, if we caught the 12 o'clock train, we would arrive before tea time. So you can tell by the intonation in my voice how the meaning can change depending exactly how I say it. The second meaning is a daydream or something which is unlikely. And this sentence is a very good one as an example. If I were rich, I would buy a house in Spain. Now, I always used to tell my students, learn this one sentence if you don't learn anything else, because it will really help you remember the second conditional. It's an absolute key. Now, you might be wondering, can I say if I was rich? Because I've heard people say that. Colloquially, you may have. But look at this first before I answer that question. If you were rich, if he, she were rich, if they were rich. Now there's something strange going on here because I've used were for all of the subject pronouns. There is a simple reason. It's because were is the subjunctive form of the verb to be. We don't use the subjunctive form very much these days, although you will hear it in the expression God save the King, and we tend to call it now the unreal past. So were here is an unreal past. Another way of talking about the daydream or unlikely situation is to say it is hypothetical but not impossible. If I were rich, which I'm not, but then it is a possibility because in the future sometime I could find some money. The third meaning is contrary to fact and unreal. If I knew how it worked, I could tell you what to do. But the young man doesn't know. So really, he's saying, I don't know how it works. So his statement, if I knew, is contrary to fact and an unreal situation. This is another one you will hear a lot when someone's giving advice. If I were you, I would... But of course the lady says, you can't be me. It's impossible. So we use the unreal past were to express this. Here are some variations of how we can express the second conditional. If we were to miss the train. Now this is really using a lot of emphasis and emotion, so your voice would change a little bit. If we were to miss the train, it would be a disaster. So again, you can see by the intonation of the voice changes the way we express the second conditional. You can replace this one with, if by any chance we missed the train, it would be awful. And for tentative suggestions, which are kind of vague thoughts, we use our modal verbs. If we bought a house in Spain, then in the result clause, we could invite our friends, we might invite our friends, we would invite our friends to stay. As with the first conditional, let me give you a warning about using would in the if clause. If you would follow me, I will show you to your seats. Now remember, we said in the first conditional, it's willingness. You're asking the person you are talking to be willing to do something. If you would. So avoid using it because it can sound rather strange to English listeners. If you found my lesson useful, could I please ask you to subscribe below and ring that bell? Thanks. Now I have a listening exercise. You have to complete the sentences. After you've done that, you might like to try filling in your own endings to see if you can really understand the second conditional. Following that, there is a challenge. So, good luck. 1. If you went to the cinema tomorrow, you'd see the latest Bond film. 2. Perhaps Mary would apologise if you asked her yourself. 3. If we bought a house in Spain, we could invite our friends for a holiday. 4. If you took your coat back to the shop, they might exchange it for you. 5. If your brother came to visit us in London, we could go to the British Museum. And here are the answers. Exercise 2, Charlie's Challenge. Write a type 2 conditional sentence based on these facts. We don't have any wood, so we can't light a fire. If we... Perhaps you'd like to leave your answer in the comments below. Next time we should look at conditional type 3. That's the one that begins if I had known. So, thanks for watching. Please subscribe below and I'll see you next time. Bye!